It's two of my favorite guns, the CS3 and the TM40. Here we go. I'm so free. Alright guys, here we are. We've got the Planet Eclipse CS3, we've got the TM40, Luxe TM40. This is a very expected video of our opinion on the between these two high-end markers. So we are going to give it all we've got here. So first and foremost, we have our handy-dandy comparison sheet that we are going to use between the two here. And as you guys can see, we have a comparison chart here that we're going to use to compare these two markers. Just basically a guide. Cody, you mind handing me the scale over there so we can weigh them here in a few minutes. Alright, so first and foremost, guys, we're going to talk about packaging between the two. The DLX Luxe TM40 comes in this nice case here. It's a little bit more square and
don't mind how beat that is. This is Joel's personal.
This is my personal, just because I like showing it off. Shout out to Tyler Aesthetic. He did a great job on the anno of this. So you've got the TM40 case. I've got this sleeve off of the case for the Planet Eclipse CS3. Why, dog?
Because we hate them.
Because we hate them.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Alright, so then we've got the box that protects the case. Once again, Doug.
Bye-bye.
Alright, so the Planet Eclipse CS3 does have the new case similar to the Planet Eclipse LV2.
Heather.
Yeah, Heather. This new carrying handle is nice with the Planet Eclipse CS3. We're going to open it up. We've got the launch edition here. The gun itself, your Allen keys. It does have this nice elastic band, so it's going to protect everything.
Snap that.
Opening it. Yes. Alright. On this side, we've got all the different sleeves for your different barrel inserts for your S63 barrel system. You've got the S63 barrel itself. Nice spare parts baggie. Doug, what do we love about Planet Eclipse guns?
We have
color manual and a full guide. Everything is labeled in your spare parts kit and color manual. Everything is going to be pointed out there, as well as a parts diagram, so every single part is going to be detailed. You've got your barrel cover, which is a nice barrel cover, Planet Eclipse lube,
tons of it,
and then your soft tip and your hard tip. This is the hard tip, the soft tip is currently in it. So overall, really nice case there. On the Luxe side of things, you've got your quick start guide, which is a little bit dirty. And it's the adrenaline one, I'm not sure why. You've got your gun here, you've got your USB port there. It does have this like guide for the different size O-rings, and it does point out on here all the different O-rings that you need.
And where they go.
And where they go, yep. And full set of Allen keys. You've got your Luxe barrel cover, your charging cable. You've got a parts kit here. Plenty of lube here. I think it's the same amount of lube. Your Freak XL barrel system with an 8.7 insert is what it comes with, brand new. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the parts kit. What do we not like about the Luxe?
Not labeled.
Not labeled.
Nothing there.
Labeled. Nothing is labeled. So how are you supposed to tell what's what? It drives me nuts.
You don't. I can't read.
Yeah, and I can't sit there and decide what size is what. And Luxe guns also don't use the same durometer of O-ring across the board, meaning some are harder than others, and it's very difficult sometimes to tell, and that can definitely affect the function of the gun. So overall, Doug, packaging.
Not really.
No, it's not.
Listen, the Luxe comes with plenty. It really comes with a lot of stuff, and I like that the wrench kits are similar and that you can take the wrench out. I actually like the wrenches specifically on the Luxe side are ballpoint,
yeah.
So you can kind of get them into some weird angles. But yeah, man, I don't know. The manual's better on this side, which I think is really the main draw, is just how easy it is to do maintenance.
Parts kit, so from a maintenance perspective,
and a harder case.
Easier. And a harder case too.
So I'll give packaging to the CS3.
Same here. Next up, we're going to talk about barrel. You've got the S63 barrel system. You've got the Freak XL barrel system. Freak XL barrel system has been around for a long time. It has, like, I think it's a 7-inch control bore.
8-inch.
8-inch. Only time Doug knows anything about 8 inches. Ayo. Bing bong! As you can see, the control bore on the S63 is a little bit longer.
Yep.
Very eerily similar on how they are designed.
Sus.
it is slightly sus. 14.5 inches here. I think it's 14 inches on the Luxe gun. Very simple to put this together. Between the two, they're so similar. I think I'm gonna choose the Freak XL strictly because the S63 is really freaking close to the Freak XL, and this came after.
Well, you know what, too, man? Honestly, that's longer, so it's gonna like just feel different to what I'm used to, and I'm more likely to drag that on the ground when I'm coming off the box.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. Or shoot me in the back of the leg.
It only happened once.
Dude, still counts. All right. Next up, guys, we've got the Feedneck. Between the two, this is a good one actually. Feedneck on the Luxe gun is very
low profile.
Very low profile, and it is actually lower profile.
I was just gonna say I think it is shorter than the CS3, and they both have a thumb wheel, so totally directly comparable.
Yep. I'm giving it to the Luxe on that.
I'm gonna agree.
It's very similar. They both have a really nice lever on them, which is something to point out. Not every gun has.
I do like that the CS3 does that offset thing to kind of help with like jamming or whatever, but for me that's not enough for me to like it more.
All right, next up, guys, we're going to talk about eyes. So one thing to point out is that this has ribbon eyes. The eyes in the CS3 is the lower portion of the board. So what I mean by that is when you take the eye cover off, the lower eyes, the lower portion that sends the signal to reflect onto the eye cover right here, is actually built into the gun. So for me, it's not even a question mark. The CS3 is much more reliable.
I would agree with that.
The eye cover on this is simple to remove. You just put pressure right here and push up, and this does pop out so you can access your eyes. But I've seen too many times where the eye ribbon gets torn on the Luxe.
I myself have broken them on my shocker. Well,
and the shocker has like an actual wire, whereas this just has a ribbon, so it's even easier to tear. So from that perspective, you definitely got to go with the CS3 when it comes to the eyes system.
I'll agree.
And both of them are really easy to get to as far as, cleaning the eyes. And I would say from a cleaning perspective, it's really easy to clean this reflective system.
Let's see
just clean that. Yeah.
And you're good.
You just clean that, whereas like with this, you've got to get that eye ribbon out of place, and that can be a real hassle sometimes because it's really locked in there. So, all right, next up, battery charging. Battery
charging, yeah.
2 AA's here, guys. You just press this, boom, your AA's are in there. Very, very simple. All you gotta do is just pull this off. I really like that.
Can you turn that on real quick? Are there batteries in that gun?
Yeah.
Just for when we weigh it later. Don't want any questions.
Yeah. Now, the Luxe TM40 has snap grips. You're just going to pull this off.
That's super easy. Look at that.
Yep. Rechargeable battery. USB-C, which is nice because it's getting harder to find micro USB.
Nice and current.
Nice and current. And it has a rechargeable battery. The rechargeable battery definitely holds like a really solid charge.
Yeah.
I mean, I charge mine maybe once a month, if that. So from that perspective, I'm actually going to go Luxe.
Yeah?
I'm going to go Luxe on this one. Most of the time I side with Planet on this. But the reason I'm not siding with Planet on this gun is because it holds charge for so long.
Really?
Yes. Like, I mean, I can get, like I said, like I'm...
Without charging?
Without charging.
Yeah. So there you guys have it. 3 tournaments, and you charge it once, and you still have charge left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Where, like this is still going to be, but what's nice about the CS3 is if you're down batteries, you just pull this off, boom, pop.
I was like, I'm going to give it to, my points are going to go to the CS3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind, guys, is most hoppers are AA's. So if you use this across the board, your AA is both with your hopper and with your gun, so that's nice.
Yes.
So TM40 I'm just going to give it to because like it holds for such a long time that like you're an idiot if you run out. Like, I'm sorry, you just are. So there's that.
He's a lot wrong sometimes.
Next up, guys, trigger between the two. This is nice because there's a shoe. You can just take this off. There's a little screw right there, Doug.
Yep.
You remove that and the shoe comes off. So all of your adjustments remain the same. That is a really cool feature of the CS3 trigger. It's also very easy. They made some modifications between the CS2 and the CS3. So CS3 is easier to take this out, the entire thing, the black portion, that you just pull that out with that set screw right there. The Luxe, Has a blade style trigger similar to this. It's a little bit thinner. It feels better, in my opinion. It's a little.
I prefer that Luxe trigger a lot.
Yeah. So one thing, and just remove it right there. So from that perspective, to change it out and everything. Here's what I will say though. I'm going to probably side with the CS3 on this.
Really?
And the reason I'm going to side with the CS3 is...
Oh, it's because it's, what, 5-point adjustable, right?
It's 5-point adjustable, but the point being is that it saves all your settings. So if you change out your trigger, you're only changing out the trigger shoe, which is the actual trigger itself, but the mechanism stays there. So all of it remains the same, so you don't have to go back and reset everything, whereas with this you do. One thing I don't like about the CS3, though, is how wide the trigger is this way.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about the Luxe trigger. Luxe trigger
is that it tapers a little bit?
Yeah. I would say from a feel perspective, I like the TM40 feel, but from like overall like what's better, I would say this because of
saves your settings and all that.
Yeah. All right, next up guys, programming and board and everything else like that. CS3 without a doubt, in my opinion.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, because I wish Luxe would get with the program. It's time for a board update, because like when you turn it on, it does talk to you in a bunch of different languages, which is cool.
Powering on. Welcome to the Luxe experience. Battery level 80%. Firing mode NXL.
So you pull the trigger, turn the gun on to program it. It's going to walk you through all the settings and everything else like that. It will talk to you and let you know what settings are changing and everything else like that. But I will say two things. This button here can be like finicky with more and more use, so you have to replace this plastic cover, whereas you don't have that issue with the CS3. And the other thing is from like a overall like resolution. Did you get up close, Doug, as far as what it looks like?
I did my best.
Yeah, okay. It's just like this new board that they put in the CS3 and the LB2 is like really nice resolution.
Yeah, you can see that pretty loud and clear.
And you just double click and you can go into all the different settings here and I'll walk you through everything. So for that reason, I'm going CS3 without a doubt. Super reliable boards too. Very rarely have to replace a CS3 board. Next up, guys, ASA between the two. Doug?
It's kind of a wash, but I guess I'll go with the pops. It's cool. Like, pops compared to a lever, I don't see a whole lot of room to bitch, but I've heard you complain enough that you can't set your gun down with the air off when you have the stupid lever system. Because you always say it.
Another thing that I like to point out is that there's like tiny little pieces with the Luxe ASA. Like if you take this out, there's tiny little pins that hold it into place, and I've lost that a few times. Obviously, when we're here at the store, it's not a big deal, but like if you're out trying to maintenance it in the field,
right?
Whereas like this, there's not nearly as many small parts and everything.
Right.
So from an ASA perspective, I'm going to choose the CS3 on that.
I'll agree.
Ergonomics.
Ergos, dude, listen, I do love the updates that they made to the CS3, but I like the way that a Luxe feels in my hands a little better. I like that it tapers a little bit toward the top, like a little bit more, and just, I feel like it fits my hands better.
Yep, I'd agree with that. I mean, they definitely made improvements. I think the CS3 is definitely an ergonomic improvement from the CS2.
Something that people are immediately going to say, though, is that there's no option for the foregrip to have better grip to it unless you tape it, like out of the factory.
So tape it, bro. Tape it. All right, next up, guys, we're going to do weight here.
Put them barrels on, boss. Here, I'll help you. You do that one, I'll do the CS3.
All right. Here we go, Doug. All right, so I'm going to turn our scale on, and 0. All right, so there you guys have it. 0 pounds. I think it's 1 pound, 14 ounces, I want to say. Wow, 1 pound, 12.6. Sheesh. All right, 0.
0.
2. What was it? 1 pound, 15 ounces. Yeah, 1 pound, 15. What, 3 ounces almost?
Yep.
Yeah, so there you guys have it.
Go Luxe.
Go Luxe. TM40 definitely wins on that front. Maintenance.
Kind of a lot. It's the same. I don't know.
I can already hear the Planet fanboys going,
Oh, Lux is good. Lux is good.
dude, I run this thing through the mud.
Yeah.
And I've never had any problems with the bolt system and all that stuff. Maintenance, and then our next thing is build quality and reliability. I will say, from a reliability perspective, there's very, very few small things that I've ever had to do to any TM40 that's come through the store. I think it's arguably one of the most reliable TM or Luxe platforms ever.
Yep.
And it's arguably right now one of the most reliable guns on the market. Our first tournament this year was at MSXL Indy.
Yep.
It was like 20 degrees outside.
Snow on the ground. It was terrible.
Ground. Every gun was having issues, but the TM40 was by far definitively like doing better than any other gun, including like some Planet guns like GO4s. I saw a GO4 go down. I did not see one TM40 go down in cold weather. They did great as far as cycling and all that stuff.
I'm going to jump in for a sec. One thing that is valid that people have said, I have seen plenty of Luxes, like with this TM40, come from factory with certain issues. Largely, it's like the board. But as far as gun functionality itself, the X had some issues out of the factory with like tolerances, but I haven't seen that with the TM40 at all. So I really think that they've stepped something up.
They have.
So as long as it's not something, which again, this is maintenance which halfway falls on you as the player. So as long as it's not something from factory and you get one that is fine, that works normal, comparably, I don't see a whole lot of difference.
The CS3 hasn't been out long enough for
us to know.
Assuming it's as reliable as the CS2 platform, right? And I'm sure it probably is going to be because it's a Planet Eclipse gun. But with that, like the reliability and build quality and everything on the TM40 is really good. I think that people tend to slip on that or sleep on that a little bit sometimes. But overall, it's really good. I will say this, from working on these guns all the time, this gun makes more sense as far as maintaining it, in the sense of like there's less little screws.
Okay.
Like the gasket. There's a gasket that's larger. It's much more foolproof. That transfers the frame or transfers the air from this. Whereas like with the Luxe, it's this tiny little O-ring that tends to go bad if you switch from mech frame and back and forth and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that is something to keep in mind with the TM40, where there's a bunch of small parts and everything else like that. Whereas like the CS3 doesn't. So there is that portion of it. But from a build quality, reliability, and maintenance perspective, I'm going to say they're both the same. I think people are going to blow up on me on that.
Probably.
I stick by the TM40 as far as it being super reliable.
Same.
I've never had really an issue. I take that back. One thing that I'd like to mention, thank you to Jason Edwards from Tampa Bay Damage, but my battery was wiggling, and this retainer for the rechargeable battery is supposed to be up here. It was wiggling and it was causing my board to turn off. I put it down here, and that has solved my problem. So I guess that is a major issue. So maybe we should give it to the CS3, because I've never seen that happen to any Planet gun where it shuts off. But that was an issue, and since then has been resolved, and I've put plenty of cases of paint through it without that. So tech support.
Both of these have been at our local events. Like I see vendors for both of them at MSXL, regional stuff. They're both at the big events. I'm gonna say that's pretty comparable. And they're both out on the East Coast as well.
It's pretty comparable. I will say that like we are partial in this area to DLX and Shocker.
They are closer
we
locationally.
Know, like the Master Techs personally and everything else like that.
Shout out to Yasser.
And Craig. But I know that like some people have had some troubles getting a hold of people at DLX before. Sometimes, like I see somebody post something on Facebook, and then like 5 minutes later, Craig's responding. So, Planet, I don't know. I mean, Planet, they both are really, really good. I would say it's a wash between the two. So yeah. Next up, upgradability between the two. Newer gun.
Yeah, I think it's a little early to say, but I'll be surprised if they do. Well, didn't they do different bolts for the CS2?
They did. Well, it came with it.
But there were no other aftermarket bolts?
The SSC bolt, they had like a soft tip bolt.
Okay, so then there's the F16 that you can get for this. I don't know of any others.
You can get a deuce trigger from Infamous.
Yep. And I'm sure we'll get triggers for that. I don't really know what else.
It's really close. I'd say it's a wash.
I would also say
I will
it's a
say
wash.
this, though. As it stands right now, we're in the middle of December 2022. There is a mech frame for this. There is no mech frame yet.
It's definitely coming. It's too early for that.
Coming.
I'm going to call this category a wash.
I agree. Upgradability. All right. I think that's it, man.
Time to go outside and shoot them?
We need to go out and shoot it. We're going to talk about shot quality. Two things that we're going to talk about before we do that is paint handling and efficiency, because we've done all that testing already.
Yep.
TM40 was able to shoot super brittle ProShar paint. I think it was ProShar paint. And handled that no problem. I can shoot really brittle paint through this gun, and I never have any issues. It's got a very slow first stage cycle. So, like, what I mean by that is when I put my finger in, it barely cycles at all. So it does a good job of slowly accelerating to get the ball cupped against the bolt, and then, so there's that.
And then launching it.
And then the CS3, I mean, we just did a brittle paint test on that.
We did.
And that was, I mean, it did great.
Yes, it did.
5-star. So paint handling, wash, efficiency.
100% TM40.
TM40, 1670 off of 77 with the 1,670 shots. Man, I am like illiterate. 1,670 shots off of 77 with the Luxe TM40. I think we got over 1,800 shots. So it's not a ton. Like, we're getting to the point where it's like,
how much better can anything really get?
Right. Exactly. So, but there is that part. So paint handling, they're a wash. Efficiency, they're better. Let's go on and talk about shot quality, and then we'll talk about value. We'll see you guys outside.
Woo! All right, guys. So time to shoot these daddies and kind of weigh in on those last couple items. Going to be shot quality, value, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and shoot these and just kind of talk about it afterward.
Yep. We are shooting 5-star, guys.
Yes, we still have 5-star here. This is a closed course. Only Joel and I are out here. We have masks on because we're safe people. But yeah, we'll go first there, boss.
I'll shoot my TM40 first. Something I like to mention is that both these guns are chrono right around 290. All right, Doug.
And I'll step in, start off with the CS3 here. There we go. Yeah.
There you go, Doug.
I do like it, but yeah, let's switch me out. Let's give me this old TM40 here. All right, ready, guys? TM40 time. Honestly, can I see it for just 1 second? Sorry. I know you didn't get to shoot it yet, but... Alright, I'm good. You shoot.
Alright, guys. CS3. Alright, so I'm taking my mask off.
Me too. We were all good. I've degassed this, and Joel has no more paint.
Turn my gun off. Alright, so there you guys have it. That was the shot between the CS3 and the TM40.
So for me, CS3 was actually definitely a little softer.
Yeah.
Like a little bit softer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Speaking just between these two guns specifically, though, I do still like I like the way the TM40 feels in my hands more, but I do like how gentle that shot is on the CS3. So this is a tough one. What do you think, Joel?
So you think shot quality, just shot quality, not ergonomics?
Shot quality specifically, I might give it to the CS3.
Yeah, guys, so am I. I'm going to give it to the CS3 as well. I think, like, overall, it just felt a little bit better as far as the way it shoots. TM40 shoots great as well. But you can definitely tell a difference in, like, the feedback,
yeah.
I would say.
Yeah,
like,
this gives a little more
TM40's,
feedback.
Yeah, the TM40 is definitely a little bit more kicky
It barks a little
than the CS3, so there is that. So from a shot quality perspective, I'm going CS3, and so are you?
Yeah, I think I would have to agree.
All right, Doug, value. 1,600, obviously mine's custom ammo, but
yep.
1,600, you're looking at 1,750 for base colors of the CS3.
Is this the more efficient of the two?
It is. It is.
So if we're talking more efficient, less expensive, is rechargeable though, which is annoying.
It is, but the battery is long.
It is long lasting, which is true. If I'm going straight value, because that's the thing, I do still really like the shot of this. I like the way it points. The barrel systems are pretty comparable too. It's a 3-piece barrel. There's a little longer control bore in terms of the CS3. I don't know, man. Plus also,
dog.
value-wise, I think it's got to be the TM40.
Yeah,
you can get more upgrade parts for it too.
I'm gonna agree. The TM40, for being $150 cheaper, in my opinion, is definitely the better option between the CS3 and that. You know, it does have, in my opinion, better features, which we already talked about. You know, as far as all the bells and whistles that the TM40 can do. CS3, great reliable gun and everything else like that. It isn't as efficient, which is one thing. Ergonomically, it feels great and all that stuff, so is the TM40. But for me, $150 cheaper, it's more efficient, it paint handles just as well. It's super reliable. So with all that said, I'm going to give it to the TM40 between the two. But it's super close. I would say if the CS3 was the same price,
then that would make my argument be the CS3. If that 150 is just a little bit too big of a gap. For the value for me. So value, TM40. But I'll put the totals up here in the front, guys. Joe, did we skip anything here?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing major. If we do, I'll cover it later. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to Punishers for more reviews and comparisons and all that good stuff.
Still trying to get in the frame here.
He's too tall for this.
See you guys next time.
Later.
I'm so free.